Aikwe, Neknamalita, and this is my channel, The Midnight Librarian. Today I'm going to be doing my July TBR. Catching me right after a ceremony, a 4-day ceremony to be exact, particularly a ceremony that last night / this morning would have been the all-nighter. I did not do the all-nighter, but I still had to get up at 2:30 in the morning to help with gifts at the end of the ceremony. So not that I'm complaining, I'm just saying you're getting me right now. I came home, I have my coffee because I have work tomorrow and I don't want to mess up my sleep schedule more than it is. So I'm going to push through all day and go to sleep at a normal time. But yeah, came home and ultimately feel a need to clean. Obviously it hasn't taken much effect yet, but I also made a decision to redo my July TBR. So I actually had this pre-filmed and there was so many things wrong. My card got full, my battery kept dying that I kept getting interrupted. So I ultimately just didn't like how many cuts it had. I also just didn't like how scatterbrained I was. And ultimately, like, looking at the pile of books that I have picked out for that TBR, I'm just not interested anymore. So, well, like, I'm still interested, I'll still keep them, but it's like not what I'm feeling right now. But if you are at all interested in the holographs that I got for that particular pack that I undid for that, because I will be doing a new one, it was a holographic Zoroark and a reverse holo Braviary. So just as a heads up, if you're at all interested in that, that's what it was. But those are just kind of gonna go in my pile and I'm gonna be pulling new cards. So it's still about 4 or 5 days until July 1st, but I'm still gonna try to get out of this. So let's go into July. There are a couple of books that I would still like to read that I did manage to get on to my TBR when I originally did this video, but I would like to try to get again for this pull. For Summery in particular, we are going camping mid-month, and I would like to read some horror books while I'm out camping, so long as I don't have to deal with camping or woodsy areas. I would appreciate that. And then I have a feeling, like, just kind of prediction wise, that I am hopefully gonna get a dark Pokemon, which is horror, just because they're do that, and as well as a water type Pokemon, which is going to be a mood read, not a mood read, which is to read a book that is set in or around water. So both of those I feel like come up pretty often because of the type, as well as a quick read, which is going to be lightning type Pokemon. So that's just my predictions. We'll see how we go. Let's go ahead. Let's see which one. Let's get one from here. That's just one, right? Okay. All right. So let's go with this one. Trying not to look at the back when I open it, just because I know the card's face out. So here we go. July typically too is usually, I think, the tarot readathon, and I haven't heard any announcements for that yet. So, but this is pretty, I mean, it's pretty close to what we would have done for the tarot readathon. I hope that if it does happen, it'll be more towards August, because I do have a new tarot deck I would love to use for that. Let's get rid of this online thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull. So just if you're just joining us, I guess I should explain, last month, June, not last June, but it's June. Sorry, I need more coffee. I started doing my TBRs in terms of pulling based off of the Pokemon card game. Basically, my brother gave me this carton of Pokemon cards to unpack for my birthday, and so thought it was perfect to do it in the beginning of June, since that's when my birthday was, to basically pull Pokemon cards, unpack these cards, and pull Pokemon cards and have that base my TBR. Each type of Pokemon has its own prompt. I will leave the prompts list down in the description down below if you're at all interested. And yeah, I think there's about 10 cards in each deck, which is a little ambitious, but I have hope, because actually I reached 10 books so far in June, and we still have like 4 or 5 days left, so there's a little spoiler for my wrap up. Yeah, I think that's basically it. There's typically reverse holos and holos as well, or holographics, and those have their own little set of like added on prompts with my regular prompts. So that'll be, for instance, holographic is my most anticipated, which is typically a new release, or reverse holo, which is a backlist title. So okay, let's get into it. Ribombi, oh, interesting. So this is a psychic, which I don't think I've gotten yet. Is this psychic? This is psychic, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's a psychic, and it's to read a thriller. Apologies if you can hear my washing machine going. I will try to speak clearer and louder. So for this psychic Pokemon for a thriller, I am actually going to pick How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackey. This one is blurred by Jojo Moyes, which doesn't matter to me. I haven't read their books, but basically we are following a young woman who has killed multiple people, particularly in their family, and we're kind of just, let's see, they say you can't choose your family, but you can kill them. I have killed several people, some brutally, others calmly, and yet I currently languish in jail for a murder I did not commit. When I think about what I actually did, I feel somewhat sad that nobody will ever know about the complex operation that I undertook. Getting away with it was highly preferable, of course, but perhaps when I'm gone, someone will open an old safe and find this confession. The public would reel. After all, almost nobody else in the world can possibly understand how someone by the tender age of 28 can have killed 6 members of her family and then happily carried out with the rest of her life, never to regret a thing. So yeah, I've heard a couple people talk about this in terms of adding it to their TBR, but I have yet to see any reviews on it. So I'm interested. I'm very interested. Also, I like the cover. I like this bright pink. So yeah, that's my thriller psychic prompt. Next. So that is Skip Bloom, which is a grass type, which I believe is a book set in or feels summery. For that, I'm going to choose a book that I've had on my 12 books that will self-destruct in 12 months video. Essentially, these books I've had on my TBR for a while, and it's getting to the point where I either read them or I lose them. So these 12 books I've been needing to get to. I haven't been picking them up lately, so this one I figure is as good a time as any, and that is Mosquito by David Arnold. This one we are following Mim Malone, who has been dragged from her home in northern Ohio to the wastelands of Mississippi, where she lives in a medicated milieu with her dad and new stepmom. Before the dust has a chance to settle, she learns that her mother is sick back in Cleveland. So she ditches her new life and hops aboard a northbound Greyhound bus to her real home and her real mother. So I think this is like a road trip book, and I think that's pretty summery. That and the colors are very, very summery. So yeah. One thing I have to remember too that I found with June is just I need to think about the audiobooks that I will be listening to as well, and it's hard to think about that because more often than not an audiobook will be more of a mood read than a physical read is, just because it's basically whatever's available through my library or what I happen to get through Libro. So yeah. Next. Awesome. This is a trainer card. So this is a mood read, and I'm going to put that aside for right now, and pick up a book later to in this video to pick for this, in case what I'm hoping doesn't come up doesn't come up. What I'm hoping comes up doesn't come up. There we go. Where's my coffee? Okay. So this is a water energy card, which basically just means I need to go find a book with this, with blue on the cover. So for this water energy card, I am going to pick up Healer of the Water Monster by Brian Young. This is by a Dene author, and we are following Nathan, who goes to visit his grandma Nali at her mobile home on the Navajo reservation. He knows he's in for a summer with no running water and no electricity. That's okay though. He loves spending time with Nali and with his uncle Jet. One night, while lost in the nearby desert, Nathan finds something extraordinary, a holy being from the Navajo creation story, a water monster in the need of help. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. I've had this on a couple TBRs and haven't been able to get to it. We do have some blue here in the clouds, and ultimately, after coming from ceremony, I've been really just kind of wanting an indigenous read, so this is what I'm picking. It also just feels very summery. I think this would be another one too that I could very definitely see myself reading while camping. So next is Melodic. Ooh, I remember this one. I like this one, mostly because its first evolution is not cute, but its evolution itself is very pretty. I remember really enjoying it. Okay, so this is a water Pokemon, which basically means I need to read a book that is set in or around water. Hold on a sec. So for Melodic, I am choosing Outlaw Ocean by Ian Urbina. This is Journeys Across the Last Untamed Frontier. This is a nonfiction, and it's a chunker. This is actually my partner's book, but I know that this is available through Libro. And basically it's a riveting, adrenaline-fueled tour of vast and lawless world that few have ever seen, the high seas. There are few remaining frontiers on our planet. Perhaps the wildest and least understood are the world's oceans, too big to police and under no clear international authority. These immense regions of treacherous water play host to rampant criminality and exploitation. Traffickers and smugglers, pirates and mercenaries, wreck thieves and repo men, vigilante conservationists and elusive poachers, sea-bound abortion providers, clandestine oil dumpers, shackled slaves, and cast adrift stowaways, drawing on 5 years of perilous and intrepid reporting, often hundreds of miles from shore. Ian Urbina introduces us to the inhabitants of this hidden world through their stories of astonishing courage and brutality, survival, and tragedy. He uncovers a globe-spanning network of crime and exploitation that emanates from the fishing, oil, and shipping industries, and on which the world's economies rely. So this one I have been interested in for a while. It was one of the reasons I think that my partner got this book, and I remember seeing, it wasn't a booktuber actually, it's a YouTuber who was in marine biology, but now I believe their job has to do with grasses, but they are constantly doing marine biology type of videos for their channel. I'm sure I still have them. I can't remember what their names are currently, but I'll put their channel name here as well as in the description if you want to check them out. But I remember them saying that this was incredibly researched books. So that, and it's summer, and I've also been really into just the ocean in general. I've been watching a lot of the aquarium. Next, we have a reverse holo Psyduck. Oh my goodness. So actually, that Lala Ocean would have worked perfect for this. So, because it's a water Pokemon, we are once again trying to find a book that is set in or around water, as well as it being a backlist title. So, let me go look for another book. So for my reverse holo Psyduck, I'm actually going to go with Low Volume 1, The Delirium of Hope. So this one has a gorgeous cover. But it's also, this one came out in 2015 and is basically a graphic novel that is dystopian. In the far distant future, the sun's premature expansion has irradiated Earth, sending humanity to the lowest depths of the seas, hidden within radiation shielded cities, while probes scour the universe for inhabitable worlds. After tens of thousands of years, a single probe returns, crashing on Earth's surface, and now alien place no human has seen for millennia. Now Stell Kane and her husband Joel, the last helmsman of the once great city of Salis, must rise from the depths of mankind's despair and journey to the surface in search of salvation. So I think I ended up hauling these not too long ago. I think within the last year. I remember now. It was just before Christmas because I was searching for Christmas gifts for other people and found this and decided to get it for myself. I think this sounds really interesting. The cover is very intriguing. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think it's a nice short book comparatively to the thick books that are currently in my stack. So next we have Woobat, which is another thriller for a psychic. Also, apologies if you can hear my neighbors mowing their lawn. So, for Woobat, which is psychic, which is another thriller book, I'm going to be reading Find Me by Anne Fraser. This I've had on my TBR before and just wasn't able to get to it. I absolutely enjoy this cover. But this is someone's playing tricks with her past. A bone-chilling family history is unearthed in a heart-stopping thriller by New York Times bestseller author Anne Fraser. Convicted serial killer Benjamin Fisher has finally offered to lead San Bernardino detective Daniel Ellis to the isolated graves of his victims. One catch: he'll only be able to do it if FBI profile Rennie Fisher, his estranged daughter, accompanies them. As hard as it is to exhume her traumatic childhood, Rennie can't say no. She still feels complicit with her father's crimes. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. So, and it's relatively short. I think it's under 300 pages. It is, so it's not bad. Another one that would be interesting to read while camping, I feel like. So this stack is getting huge, y'all, but I have to remember that Outlaw Ocean I'm planning to read as an audiobook. Next. Bagon. So that is a dragon type, which is to read a fantasy. So to read a fantasy. Okay, I'm gonna have to think on this one because I did end up getting a dragon for June, and I feel like I'm still not quite ready for fantasy. So let me see if I can find a smaller one, because the ones I'm seeing in here are rather large and it's a little intimidating. Actually, so this is perfect because I want to read Indigenous books, and I have more than plenty to get me through until Indigathon. Well, assuming that that's going to happen again this year. I'm hoping so, but anyway. For fantasy, because I want to read Indigenous books, I am actually going to read Storm of Locusts by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the second book in the 6 World series. So I read the first one, which is Trail of Lightning. meh. It was 3 stars for me. I felt it a little meandering. What I do like about Rebecca Roanhorse's writing is that she is able to hook me in at the very end of the book, and so at the very end of Trail of Lightning, it really just had me wondering, going, what's Storm of Locust all about? So this one in particular was gifted to me by Neil from Neil Yazzie on Instagram, which I'll link his information down in the description down below. I highly suggest you check him out. But yeah, so we kind of just follow that. I'm not going to give you a synopsis for the second one because spoilers, but what I will say is that we're following Maggie Hosky, who is a monster hunter. This is another dystopian world where essentially the big flood happened, and before that happened, the big flood happened, and the Navajo Dene ended up putting up a wall around their reservation to keep everybody else out. Due to the big flood, it became the 6th world. We were in the 5th. This is now the 6th, where the beings of Navajo stories are now live. The gods and the creators are now living. With that, it also means that monsters have come through as well and are also living on Earth, and currently there are monsters that are killing people on the Navajo reservation, and Maggie Hosky is going out to kill them, but she's also trying to figure out where they're coming from. So with a young man that is also training to be a medicine man, who I forget the name of already, Kai Arviso, they go out and try to figure out what's going on. So yeah, Rebecca Roanhorse is a Black Indigenous author, and so far I've only really enjoyed Black Sun from her, so we'll see how this goes. Okay. Next one. What is that? Scraggy. What is Scraggy? That looks a little creepy. Well, it is a dark Pokemon. For Scraggy, this is perfect. So dark is horror, and that's awesome because it makes it so that I can get the book that I wanted to read for Summerween on here. So that is Hide by Kirsten White. This was actually the Literally Dead Book Club pick for June. I wasn't able to get to it in time, so I do want to read it for Summerween. It's blurbed by Samantha Downing, Stephanie Perkins, Delilah Dawson. Yeah, those are the 3 that I recognize, because there's a bunch more. But basically, I feel like a high stakes hide and seek game, where you could potentially die if you're found, but it's also based in an amusement park, which I feel like would be a real fun one to read while camping, because it has nothing to do with camping or the woods. So that's what I'm hoping to get to. I also really like this cover. It's creepy, but it's also yellow. Love it. So yeah. Next, Drowsy, another thriller. Okay, let me see. I'm getting a little daunted by how many physical books I have, so I'm gonna start looking at Libro. Okay, so for Drowsy, I said I'm gonna pick an audiobook. We'll see if I do, but ultimately I remembered that I have one coming that works for this, and that is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. This is the July pick for the Literally Dead Book Club, and it's one that I was highly anticipating. So this one is talked about a lot from by Kayla from Books and Lala, because it has a rabbit on the cover, and she's been planning essentially a vlog reading books with rabbits on the cover. But this one is a retelling of The House of Usher. Basically, we are following an ex-Marine, something of the sort, where they end up getting news that their childhood friend is like on her deathbed. So they go to her house, which is the House of Usher, only to find out that it's completely covered in like mushrooms and like other fungi, and there's like weird things happening. She's like sleepwalking and talking in whispers, and then her brother is also like, there's something going on. So the ex-Marine character is getting help from a mycologist as well as a doctor to try to figure out what the heck is going on and see if they can save their friend. So that's what I'm going to pick for this. Last one. Bergmite, which is another water. So this one, so I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you what I'm gonna do for both Bergmite and this trainer card, and it's essentially gonna be the second and third volume of Low. So we have volume 2, which is Before the Dawn Burns Us, as well as volume 3, Shore of the Dying Light. So because they're shorter, they're shorter reads, and this pile is intimidating. So that's what I'm going to go with. That, and because, I mean, hopefully if I like the first one enough, I'm going to want to continue these 3, and I've been wanting to get to them anyway to see if I want to invest more into the series. I apologize for my neighbor's yard work right now. So yes, this is my July TBR. If you have read any of these, please let me know what your thoughts were are down in the comments down below. Otherwise, thank you for dealing with me and my haggard mess and sleep deprivedness. Hopefully next time I'll be a little more, I don't know, something. But yeah, so yeah, that was my July TBR. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Okay, I hope that you are in the mental mindset to enjoy your reading, and I will see you in another video very soon. Chew.